All right, guys, what's going on? Hopefully, everyone is doing well. It is Monday morning, March 30th, 10 a.m. This is our first live stream of the new week. And this is our weekly wrap up. We're going to talk about in this live stream the weekend that was. We'll talk about the UK card. We'll talk about what we saw in Las Vegas. As you guys are shuffling in, all I ask from you is to like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Also, join our world famous Johnny Says Boxing VIP betting Discord. The link is pinned right here. It's a couple bucks a month. Become a VIP on YouTube. You get access to the live streams. You get elevated access to the posts, and you get all of my picks and tickets. Also, you could become a Patreon. You get all that. The Patreon, we do members only live streams in the Patreon as well. You get all of my bets there. But more importantly, once you join either or, you get access to the Discord. We broke 450 VIPs this weekend. So I thank you to all the support. Everyone's been super supportive. Our group is growing. Our community is strong, filled with like-minded boxing heads like myself and like you guys. So that's out the way. We're going to talk. We got business out of the way. I'm going to take that off of the screen. And I'm going to, this live stream, you guys know, give me about 5 minutes to recap. I see you guys shuffling in with your questions. I'm going to take all of them. I see Rob, I see Skills, I see Luis. We're going to talk about it. I do want to cover, though, on my end, just so you guys get my perspective of what I saw. Boxing is, could be subjective, could be objective at times. And this is the part where you get my perspective on what I saw. Okay, so before we get to that, we know Fundora stopped him. I'm going to try to do this in order. Okay. This is, you know what? Let me stop there. So that's the moment. You know what? Let's go here. Guys, firstly, who else had multiple screens going this weekend? I had my big screen in front of me. I had the tablet here. I had my laptop. I had 4 devices going. I'm sure you guys are doing the same. Yeah, device 1, device 2, device 3, plus my phone. It was crazy. So Acosta hit for us. Some of you guys, this was the Ronnie Rios fight. We hit on that. This is a screenshot from Seb. All right. I didn't give this away, so that's why I didn't post this in any of our winnings. This was more of a field play. Once our UFC parlay got toasted, in my own sort of time, I took Piper to knock out Adesanya. The odds were great. We'll start here. And I'm not doing this to shame anybody. I'm not doing this to shade anybody. I'm not a Keith Thurman hater. This isn't what we do this for. What we do this for is to win. You know what I mean? So I think the secret moving forward for anybody who's struggling with getting their picks accurate in big fights is, sometimes you have to remove the emotions. You have to remove your favoritism from your prediction. Keith Thurman's a fan favorite, man, and rightfully so. He did a lot for the sport. So this was one of 2 winning tickets that I gave you guys. This was our knockout prop. And the odds weren't great, so this is why I didn't do either one of these on an individual standalone ticket. And if you're new to the channel, that's something you're always going to get on my channel, is if I give you 5 tickets, if I give you 10 tickets throughout the week, they will all be plus money. This is also why I didn't give you guys a safety net parlay. This was the first week I didn't give you guys a safety net parlay because the fights in the UK and the fights in the States, I just couldn't see anything that I 100% could stand on and tell you guys at plus money this is safety. And so you didn't get that this week. And just that's why. So we took Moses. How good did Moses look? Moses looked phenomenal, especially the accuracy of the punch that ended the fight against Franklin. Moses became the first man to stop Jermaine Franklin. Sebastian Fundora became the first man to stop Keith Thurman. We put all of that on a ticket. We hit plus 144. Hopefully you listen there. And this is where I'll do the breakdown here. And these were all the tickets. If you guys are JSB insiders, you would have gotten 7 tickets, okay? Mate, we had some tough luck. I got to be honest with you. The fight the only fight that left a bad taste in my mouth from a prediction standpoint, and it not even a bad taste, was the UK double. our UK double, we took Hutchinson and we took Heaney. And, Hutchinson looked great, boxed well. He did what he wanted to do. Heaney, we knew what we were getting. We knew what we were getting ourselves into with Heaney versus Warburton. Everybody all week knew that this was either a no bet or a half unit. Call it an entertainment bet. Fighters have stay busy fights. Betters, we have stay busy bets. It was one of these bets to where I was like, don't go the whole house. This is, we covered Warburton on the channel before. You should have known what you were getting with Nathan Heaney. He was a ticket seller. So that's what we leaned on. We leaned on Heaney, his crowd, and it was just didn't go our way. So that was the one ticket. I do take a lot of blame on that. But I never told you to bet the house. Okay, we missed on that. Our long parlay got dusted because of a fight in the UFC. Now, if you don't watch the UFC, and let me explain this to you. Okay. If you don't watch the UFC and you just tailed this ticket, this one, it just looks like a loss. You checked your ticket and we lost. Bahamondes, Johnny got this wrong. The reason why this one stings for me is because if you understand the sport of MMA, you'd understand momentum, you'd understand the rules. The rule set is a bit different. In that fight, Bahamondes was, the first round could have gone either way. I gave the first round to his opponent, Muliev. In the second round, with a different referee, that fight could have been stopped. Bahamondes had him in all sorts of trouble. What turned the fight, and Muliev is known as a grappler, a heavy ground and pound sort of style. Bahamondes is known as being a long, tall, rangy striker. And it was going exactly the way we thought it was going to go until Bahamondes had Muliev on, wobbly legs on his feet, crumbling. And he does one of the most descript cage grabs. So if I'm up against the cage and I get melted, I'm not allowed to grab onto the fence to hold me up. It changes the entire trajectory of the fight. So Muliev does this. The ref doesn't call it. Should have been a point deduction. Should have been a reset. The fight should have restarted with Muliev against the cage on their feet while Bahamondes was finishing him. The fight could have been stopped. Doesn't call it. Changes the trajectory, his whole momentum, and gets on top. As he's on top in a ground and pound, massive headbutt. I'm only referencing this. I'm salty about this loss. This one should have been a victory, and I wanted to get my words out on it. And Bahamondes wasn't able to get off of his back in the second and third round, and we knew this. We knew that Bahamondes was going to have to stay on his feet, and the way that played out, I was just super salty about it. And I want to let you guys know who are here for just boxing. It's not that I just pick random UFC fights. I watch just as much UFC as I do boxing. I just focus more on boxing on my channel. Adrian Yanez, our dog, another one. So look, we have our wins and we have our losses. This was one of those weekends where we had some bad luck, and we got to take the bad luck with the good luck because we've had good luck before. We've been real lucky as of late. So I'm not too salty. We didn't get shut out. Our dog of the week, Adrian Yanez, we got him at plus 142. He beat the dog piss out of Ricky Simone. He beat the dog piss out of Ricky Simone. It was in Ricky Simone's backyard, and the UFC gave him one of the most rare draws. It was a split draw or majority decision, a majority draw. AY clearly won that fight, but luckily our books, if that was a boxing draw, we would have lost the ticket. It was a UFC draw. They paid us our money back, so that ticket just void. So rather than going 2 out of 7, we go 2 out of 6. We lost the Nathan Heaney multi. We lost the long parlay I just explained. I did a 50-50. I did a 50-50 plus 1,600 crazy parlay, and that was looking good until it wasn't. We put Shaquille on there, and he was winning until he wasn't, so we lost that one. This one right here. So we took Gomez. We took Josh Holmes. It was paying plus 1,360. And then Shaquille and Elijah. And, I got to be honest with you guys. Even though we only won 2 out of 6, I felt like what we did really good was not exploit our parlays. And this is something that isn't going to get spoken about. But notice this. I only had Elijah on 1 of 7 tickets for this exact reason. I knew Elijah versus Kevin Newman. We had a lot of, one of our, shout out to Rob, shout out to Skills. he was telling me all week Kevin was going to win this fight. It's why I didn't sprinkle Elijah everywhere. I only had Elijah on this one long ass ticket, and the way Shaquille lost, he was up every round. He got knocked out by a very tough Brad Pauls. Brad, and if you're in our Discord, if you're paying attention to the live betting in the Discord chat, we all kept saying, "Man, Shaquille better tuck that chin." Shaquille kept backing up on a straight line, tall as hell, and Brad Pauls was landing that straight right hand. We were calling it. He landed it a couple in the third. He landed in the fifth, and that was his one shot. And watching Shaquille Thompson's lack of experience getting hurt. We talk about this on this channel before. You could tell with a guy who's never been hurt before, you could tell in how they react when they do get hurt. It is a skill, there's a talent, there's an experience to know how to deal with getting buzzed or know how to deal with getting clipped. Fighting in the clinch and grabbing is a skill. You know what I'm saying? We saw it with Keith Thurman versus Brock Jarvis. I played that clip in our Discord. I shared the clip on my Instagram before the fight. In the first 90 seconds, Brock Jarvis countered Keith Thurman with a lead hook and wobbled Keith, and we watched the seasoned veteran Keith clinch. He had been hurt before. He knows how that's a veteran move, and he ended up, weathering the storm, and he stopped Brock in the third. But with Shaquille, you just saw a guy probably had never been hurt in sparring, never been hurt in a fight, and he was just out of his depth. And shout out to freaking Brad Pauls with a career resurging performance. This is what boxing is all about. This is why it's the greatest sport on earth. But that ticket got dusted there. And then we talked about Nathan Heaney. That's the one I'll take. That's on me right here. That's on me. But yeah, and this is what we do. On our channel, we're 12 minutes in. We do accountability on both sides. When we win, we talk about our wins. When we lose, we talk about our losses, and then we move on. This next hour is talking about our wins or losses, and then we have a lot of work to do. I've already done film study on the Denzel Bentley Andrew Savidra tape. I know a lot of people think there's going to be an upset there. I'm not quite so sure. We have the Australian card. We'll get to that. There's a world title fight on Friday with our boy Rene Santiago defending his belt in Japan. So there's a lot to look ahead to. I just want to make sure that when you come to my channel and you're a JSP insider, I'm not just telling you who to take. I'm in the trenches with you. You see my tickets. You know what I'm saying? So whether we win or lose, there's accountability on both ends. And you don't have to listen to me, by the way. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Fundora. I don't want to get flagged. You know what? Let's give Jay. Let's give the big head dude a shout out real quick. On the money line, the champion Seb Fundora is $1.27 favorite. 100 on Fundora gets your money back plus $27. Keith Thurman one time is a $4.27 dog. 100 on him gets your money back plus $321. He is a 3-1 underdog. Now, usually this is the segment of the show where I'm reaching for my hat and I'm picking the underdog, but I don't think I'm going to do it this time. I just think when we're talking logic, when we're talking how this fight is going to go, path to victories, I just see too many for Sebastian Fundora. I don't like the inactivity. I don't like the age. I don't like the size gap. I don't like the physical disadvantages from Keith Thurman. And mentally, I don't know why he's doing this. He says he really wants to become a world champion. This is his opportunity. I just think the Towering Inferno will be too much. I think Seb's pressure, his pace, his volume, his power, his backhand, and pay attention to the uppercut in the pocket. I'm usually predicting money line picks in this Stats Don't Lie show, but please don't go out with your friends. Y'all need to leave Tiger alone too, by the way. Y'all need to stop messing with my boy Tiger, man. Leave him alone. I think we're caught up. Let him see we're crazy. I think we're caught up. Yeah, if you would have put Franklin, Gaucher, and Thurman, all never been stopped. So Moses, I thought the yo-yo stoppage was outlandish. That referee needs to be investigated. Gaucher wasn't hurt at all. I'm salty about that one too. We got some bad luck yesterday. That's all I'm gonna say. You guys are still not gonna give Seb his props. You guys are still gonna talk shit about Seb. You guys still won't give him his flowers. You know how boxing is. Andy Hiroka, he's leaving his longtime camp in Japan. Maybe he comes to America. All right, we're caught up. All right, I'm gonna start saying what's up to everybody now. Oh, I'm gonna do the super chats first. Super chat now, boxing booth. New Zealand in the house. What's up, Johnny? Shout out for the home pick. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the super chat. That was our dog of the guys. That's 8 weeks in a row. Are you counting? Where are the boys keeping track? I know some of the boys got. You guys create content. You guys have channels, and you're keeping track of wins and losses from content creators like myself. 8 weeks in a row. Dog of the week. Thank you, boxing booth. I appreciate you, boxing booth. I told you why I picked Gold Coast too. So we're talking a little bit NRL side chat here. Because I once interviewed Preston Campbell, and this was in 2016 when Jaden was like, I don't know, Jaden probably 8 or 9 years old, and watching Jaden grow into the athlete he's in, and knowing that the Illawarra, the Dragons had lost 7 or 8 in a row leading to last season. That's why I picked Gold Coast, and we finally got a win, baby. We got Mosby with the super chat. Thank you, big dog. Shout out to dude. Shout out to Breaking Bad's my boy. You guys know I got a lot of time for Nick. I'll bring Nick, and Nick does a lot of other things. He's going through school right now. He's not putting a lot of he's putting all of his effort towards there. But anytime he wants to come on, I told him I'll help grow his channel in any way I can. We've been doing our Thursday night UFC live stream together, me and Nick from Breaking Bad. This past week, we gave you Yanez on the money line, which we got robbed. He gave you Musiev on the money line, which I took Bahamondes, which he was right. The only pick he lost, he took Hooper by knockout, and Hooper got knocked out. But he gave you Fortune on the money line, Fernandez, McKinney round 1. He gave you Borgoria on the money line. He told you that Impa Kasangwe was going to starch Dalton Rasta, and I guess Kazuba. I don't know the Kazuba pick. But yeah, Nick's a beast. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Now everyone else is in the crib. Made it back to the Wild City. I'm gonna go all the way down to get caught up. Sorry if I didn't get you. Up the walls to the grave, brother. Oh yeah. One of my favorite players is Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So Roger's an OG. I think this is last year. I love watching New Zealand the Waratahs. Lots of fights this week. Charlo shot on that one. Nice New Jack City reference, King. Brad Pauls is a former Commonwealth champion or former British champion. That is the Commonwealth belt. Two-time British champion who has been in there tough. I mean, there's guys in my Discord who said that they gave this lean. I didn't see it, obviously, because I took Shaquille. But there's boys in the Discord, dude. We got some. This is the best part of our Discord is we don't have to agree on everything. But I know some guys who took Brad Pauls in that fight. I want to get to Rob. Rob was asking about the Kevin Newman fight. Where's Rob at? Big time parlay, a lot of quick stoppages. A lot of quick stoppages since the girl. It's a good point. But I mean, it was the Jaya Pataya Brandon Glanton fight before the coma or after the coma? I don't know, man. It looked to me that ref. Could we get some transparency, Rob? Because I think you're talking about the quickest stoppage I've seen in a while with the boys was 100% Yo-Yo versus Gachet. That was outrageous. Gachet was never hurt. Gachet was adhering to a game plan. You're fighting against a guy who makes 160, but he was weighing like 190 pounds, Yo-Yo Hernandez. And Gachet is a veteran at 37, never been stopped, knows how to operate, been in there with world champions his entire career, takes everyone the distance, and he was taking a lot of punches off the gloves, maybe got hit clean once or twice, maybe 3 times, was never, and he was, and Yo-Yo, the knock on Yo-Yo is, could he go 10 rounds? Would he fade? Does his power carry? Etc. Never been in there with a guy who is as seasoned as Gachet. Gachet was, who knows what was going to happen in rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You know what I'm saying? That was the path to victory for Gachet. That was the game plan if Gausha was going to win the fight. I want to see the ref if the ref had any plays, because you're telling me that something we don't get to talk about is, are the refs allowed to gamble? Did the ref go to the Vegas bookie and beforehand and take yo-yo by stoppage? You got to bring this up. I don't know. Maybe it's horrible. That's where my mind goes. And you look at the ref's face when he stops it. It was criminal. It was horrible. It was shocking that he stopped it like that. And of course, I had yo-yo on points. No, I had the fight to go the fight to go the distance. Was that not a halt? Come on, I told you. You know what I want to talk about, Fresh? I was talking to one of my clients about this just now, because it's my work week, and I know if the Kiwis, it's New Zealanders, we're on our new work week. It's Monday, right? You Americans, it's Sunday, so you're taking your time out to kick it with me. And the UK, I got love for the UK. Y'all know I got love for the UK. And like, what's Gary? Something I'm gonna next time I talk to Gary too. He was clowning the UK women. Dude, women are beautiful everywhere, but I digress. Dude, some of the hottest girls I've ever met are from like Scotland. There's a girl I want. Ireland has some. London girls are fun. Like, you can't. I guess personally, I never marginalize group of people. There are great people everywhere. There's hot women everywhere. There's good fighters everywhere. It's just kind of like a personality sort of disagreement. But he was saying all that stuff in jest. I don't think he really meant any of it. Gary kind of says some outlandish things as part of his shtick, and it took me a while to understand that about him. You can't take everything he says, politically like to heart. He did like Keith Thurman though in this fight, and we did disagree on it, and I did never agreed with him that he was a Hall of Famer. And I think what happens the older you get, especially and he's been in the game just like myself his whole life in boxing. You get it. It's hard not to become attached to fighters emotionally when you watch guys fight for world titles 10 years ago and you grow with them. You know what I mean? Maybe that was it. I didn't see his reasoning on how Keith never had a chance. Keith should have never been in there. He should have never fought for a world title. It was all crooked that he was even in the ring. I said that since jump. And because of that, Keith knew that. He will never admit that, but Keith knows he didn't fight for that world title. He knows he didn't earn that world title shot. And I'm not going to say that's why he lost, but psychologically, that doesn't work for you. You're not a fighter in camp, and you're training for a world title, and you're going to be 38 in April, and you're telling me it doesn't affect you knowing that you didn't earn this spot? I don't even know if a prime Keith Thurman beats Seb Fundora. I said that too in my break. You guys hate on Seb. Dude, we need to stop judging people for what they are at their lowest. And this isn't just boxing. This is you got to look at people for what they are at their best. I do this with my exes too. I'm not friends with every girl I've ever dated, but I've never hated anyone I've ever dated. You might be salty and sort of like in the moment when you break up, but when you're looking back, if it's a long-term relationship, you spent all this time with this person for a reason. So what I always tend to do, and there's a parallel with like exes and even fighters, it's probably, why I don't judge fighters on getting knocked out is the same reason I don't judge people I've dated, and granted, I've been fortunate enough to date really intelligent, really awesome women, but I look at them what they were when like what they meant to me when they were at their best. It's why we were together, and I use that sort of approach with fighters. I look at the potential in a fighter. And you're telling me a 28-year-old world champion who's defended his belt, who's a puncher, all we know about it now, and we're not playing Monday morning quarterback. This was our prediction. You tell me all that about Seb Fundora, you're going to focus on a knockout loss, and that's going to be your reasoning for him losing to Keith Thurman? I just don't see it that way, and I've never I don't use that as my reasoning. So I do have some insider information on this fight. He's talking about the Ghazi fight. Vidal Riley, Brown knockout. Let's go. Vidal Riley might be tested this time, though. We last saw Vidal against on that Wembley Stadium card against Chef Clark, right? Has Vidal fought since Chef Clark? No, I wasn't laughing at Chiquiza. I wasn't laughing at you. I wasn't too serious about the fight, though. I wasn't laughing at Chiquiza. I wasn't too serious about the fight. I felt like because I had taped Warburton before, and because I know dude, I know Nathan Heaney. I watched him beat Denzel Bentley, dude. And maybe this is granted it was, Heaney's 36, he was 33 against Bentley. I know these fighters. I've watched these fighters. I'm not a guy who just throws shit on the wall. I watch all fights, mate. So it wasn't that. It was the lack of gears I saw with Warburton against Conway, and then you had that fight was built. They brought in a guy like Warburton who wasn't a puncher against obviously a faded Heaney. They brought Warburton in for a reason for Haney to win. So that's an example of the politics not working out in our favor. Oh, you bet on Izzy. I know you're from Izzy is a hero where you come from. Yeah, I get it. You know what my dad Brad used to say though, Brady? Never bet with your heart, bet with your wallet. If anything, if you're a big Izzy guy, I wouldn't even have bet on him. Shout out to Big Parlay community still growing. Oh, we're just getting started. The community's still growing. Think better. We're literally just getting started. Wait till you see this community in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I got that long-term mindset. We're an embryo. YouTube might the people in the boxing community might not know who we are yet. We're not even at 30,000 subs on YouTube. We're not at 500 people in our Discord, but they'll know. I mean, people are sharing our content in Twitter and talking about us. I don't even have Twitter. So wait till you see us in 5 years, baby. It was insane. It was insane. Kiza. That was it. I'm friends with AY. I once worked with Adrian Yanez. I got him signed to his first merchandise deal in 2021 when he was fighting when he first signed from the LFA. So I've been friends with AY for like 5-6 years. It was horrible. It was horrible. Sam Goodman on points. Not a bad shot. He's a good boxer. He doesn't really punch. Fundora ain't allowed off the porch. Yeah, man. You guys are gonna think I'm gonna be crazy. What I'm about to say is, I mean, y'all cats are crazy. All I'm gonna say is, you would be ill pressed to underestimate Fundora. This dude, the adjustments he has made. How did you? All right, for you Keith Thurman betters, did you not see the adjustments Seb made from Tim Tszyu from Tim Tszyu 1 to Tim Tszyu 2? I'm serious about this. I had Paulie Malignaggi on. I had Tommy Randone on. I gave you guys all this info for you Thurman fans. But, I mean, you Thurman betters, you guys have probably already had your boots dug in. That adjustment from Tszyu 1 to Tszyu 2 was all you needed to know. That adjustment from Tszyu 1 shows us the growth of Seb Fundora, the kid who now knows that he has the skills to fight at range. He doesn't have to fight in the pocket. The pocket should be an outcome of what range does. The production and the success of Seb fighting at range, then I go into the pocket. You don't just start in the pocket when you haven't proved your worth at range. And this is what he does now. This guy is going to be tough for anybody to beat. Mark my word. Virgil, Jerron, Xander, PBK, all of them are going to be in for a long night against Seb Fundora. You guys, just wait. 100%. That growth shows you gears, shows you the evolution of a kid. And that excites me because, boxing, best sport on earth. We got a 6'6" guy who doesn't even cut weight to make 154. You guys call him a weight bully. You don't know. The people who are calling him a weight bully are ill-informed, are ill-advised, are unaware that the kid doesn't cut weight. You can't use a God's given gift, what you will, a genetic sort of present as height as against them. Oh, so he should just bulk up and hire a nutritionist and gain weight and move up so he can remove his God-given advantages of his height and reach? He doesn't cut weight. How's that a weight bully? Just because he's tall? So I totally discredit those who say he's a weight bully. Yo-Yo Hernandez, weight bully. That's a perfect example. Yo-Yo, weight bully. That kid was 190 pounds against Cachet. Did you see that fight? Yo-Yo looked like a cruiserweight in there. That was insane. But, yeah, people are going to be sleeping on Fundora his whole career. As a fighter, I agree with everything you're saying about knowing. Rob, man, and this is, appreciate you, brother. And this is a part of fighting. I don't have an example in boxing of how to train for this, but I do have an example in MMA. I brought this up a couple weekends ago. This is during during Lyoto Machida's run. Lyoto Machida is a former UFC MMA legend, dude. A lot of the new guys remember when John Jones stopped him, but you got to watch what Lyoto was when he was at his best. Lyoto Machida became the first traditional mixed martial artist to ever become a UFC world champion, meaning a guy who was a black belt in a traditional martial art like karate. He wasn't coming from like a jiu-jitsu background, even though he was Japanese Brazilian. He was a karate guy striker. And before him, there was never one of, who was a black belt in just karate who became a UFC world champion. And Machida's camp was known for training, getting hurt off of the cage, knowing how to grab when you get stunned, knowing what to do when you get dropped on the ground, how to grab a leg. This would have been in 2000, like the early 2000s. So I know about it in MMA. I remember when I was a young guy, I had just moved to Long Beach in 2004, 2005. I was in my early 20s and I started training at Hoist Gracie's jiu-jitsu gym in Long Beach on 7th Street. It was called Neutral Grounds. I still got the hoodie. And I remember walking into that gym and I didn't stick with jiu-jitsu that long, but watching where the space that sport and at the time jiu-jitsu was like the foundation of MMA mixed martial arts. It's kind of changed now. You still need to know how to do it. You still need to know what you're doing with some submissions, but it's not like the end all and be all how it was in that era. But a lot of it starts on the bottom, starts on the ground. You know what I mean? So a lot of times strikers, when they go to the ground, they had already been hurt. And so this was kind of a gap in the striker's sort of foundation at the time of how do I handle myself when I get hurt. Now in boxing, there's a certain system to it. In boxing, you see a guy who gets hurt, they've been hurt before, how they react to it. You can survive. It's a veteran. It takes a seasoned vet to know how to survive. Watching a guy when they get hurt, the first tall tale sign that they've never been hurt, long arms. Boom, and they start reaching. Oh, and they start reaching, your parlay is cooked. If your guy, if our boy starts reaching, boy, that parlay is cooked. That's what Shaquille did. Yeah. Guys, like the video. We're a half hour in. We're floating between 50 and 70. This isn't a bad shot. You could take the count. You could take a knee. That's what it's for. You could take, but you know what that is, Rob? That's an ego thing, man. We've seen it. We've seen examples before. Chico Corrales versus Luis Castillo, one of the greatest fights of all time. Granted that sequence will be remembered for the mouthpiece, but when you replay that back, Chico took a knee. I think he might have took 2 knees to get that count. That is, and then he comes back and stops Luis Castillo. If you guys haven't seen they fought twice. I think this was the first fight. If you haven't seen Luis Castillo versus Chico Corrales one of the greatest fights. One of my favorite sequences and how the fight ended up. Everybody talks about Gotti Ward, round 3 Gotti Ward. Go watch Luis Castillo, Chico Corrales. I think it's round 9, round 10, 1. But this is an example of Chico taking the knee. Seb Judah said most trainers teach you to box but not to survive. When heard in an interview a couple years ago, bro, this is what I mean. You got to know how to survive, man. You got to know what to do. And unfortunately, we always talk about, you've heard me say on the channel before, when we're talking about a prediction of a fighter and we're kind of torn on if said fighter is going to win, you've heard me say, well, hopefully we don't see him having to learn that lesson in real time. You know what I mean? Like learning how to get hurt, and that's in real time in front of the world, in your like biggest opportunity, that's not a good sign. That nobody goes into a fight wishing to get hurt. Nobody wants to get hurt. But throughout a career, you are going to get hurt. You're going to get touched. Some people have a better poker face than others. Some people have a better chin than others, but it's boxing. You're going to get touched. And part of being a seasoned, successful, illustrious fighter is knowing how to deal with those sort of ebbs and flows of a fight. Big Bory, salute to you. Yeah, me and Rob are old heads. Boy, we remember this like it was yesterday. Keys up. You ever see a better heavyweight prospect than Ituama? He moved different. Bro, we must. I mean, he's not a prospect anymore, man. Guys, you got to take your books out. Take your books out. Grab your eraser. Next to Moses' name, let's all erase prospect and rewrite now. We have to write. He's now a contender. Bro. I put it up on my Instagram. If you guys aren't following me, Johnny Stuff going Insta, I'll follow you back. Just be like, hey Jay, it's so and so from YouTube. The speed on his punches, the power, the athleticism, the punch placement, the accuracy. Bro, what are we doing? This dude, bro. I know this will never happen, but I had a nightmare last night. That nightmare was I woke up and I read an article that Moses Ituama signed with Zuffa. please, UK promoters, Frank, Eddie, keep Moses safe. Because everything I've seen with Moses, it's like this dude wants to be active. He wants to fight everybody. I want to see, you know what people are going to want to rush. I don't want to rush him. And I'm not ordaining him as like the next thing yet. But goddamn, no one stops Franklin. We've never seen Franklin hurt like that. Franklin was 21 pounds overweight. If you guys watched my live stream with Paulie and Tommy, there were some hilarious moments when we were talking about Franklin. Paulie, dude, the way dude, it's so fun to trigger Paulie in a positive way. He didn't take my bait with the Adrian Broner comment because Tommy brought up Adrian Broner. Anyway, he got triggered though with Jermaine Franklin's weigh-in, how much he weighed in over. But we've never seen Franklin hurt like that. I want to see Moses against another guy who's younger, because Franklin was in his 30s. I want to see a guy who's younger who can move. I want to see him how. I'm not saying this is going to happen because Justice is fighting, but I've been preaching. I want to see how Moses does against Justice Huni. I want to see how Moses does against Kiki Torres, and then from there, I mean, hopefully we see one of the. They don't, go right into the winner of Wardley versus Dubois, or something like that, or like people are saying Usyk. I think Usyk's retired. I want to see Moses at 21 move properly. Don't rush him. How could he handle another young guy who can move, is athletic? I rate Justice Huni. You guys don't. You guys are going to judge him for his knockout loss against Fabio. I don't. Justice was winning every second of that fight. Justice Huni's a motherfucker. Sorry. This dude is athletic. He can move. Durability might be an issue, but we'll see. I think he can fix it. I'm a big fan of Huni. I'm a big fan of technicians. You don't see many heavyweights who move like this. Is the new era, though. The new era of heavyweights are these massive dudes who have boxing IQ, who could use their speed and fitness and maneuverability and have power. So there's some fun fights to be made. Morrell versus Smith is an interesting fight. I was all in. I'm glad you brought this fight up, Chavalon, and this might be a hot take. I'm not all in on David Morrell. I want to know what's your opinion. Morrell does everything better than Smith, but Smith has size, pressure, and okay, Morrell does the sexy things better than Smith. I call it the shiny toy things. You got to first start with optics. Morrell's going to be the one who's going to win a fitness competition. He'll win a bodybuilding competition, right? But we know this is boxing, not bodybuilding. He's going to win the speed advantage. He probably has more power than him. He looks the part. I don't like the David Morrell I saw against Katiev exposed some things. The David Morrell against Benavidez exposed some things. Smith is a real pro, dude. Been in there with, the best in his era. I'm not so quick to jump on David Morrell here. I already was kind of leaning Smith. That's a shit. You guys get shocked at some of these takes. If I make that, obviously, my pick, you'll know. You'll be the first to know. But I do have a history of picking these underdogs where a lot of you guys said I was going to be wrong, and we were right. And I have my eye on this fight. I don't know if Morrell has the seasoning. I don't know how much Smith has left. I don't know how much Smith wants to be. Like, it all comes down to intention versus attention. Why am I doing this? Not just that's my intent. I have to answer what are my intentions with being here, having this long pro career? Do I want to be a world champion again? Do I think I could be a world champion again? Am I doing this for money? So, we need to figure these questions out. We know what Morel's reason. Morel's young still, dog, piss and vinegar, ego still. So you got to weigh that in as well. I want to rip Roy Jones for not giving. Oh, I've been getting torn up on my Instagram for this. Dude, some of these influencer boxing channels, man. I still follow All the Smoke, because All the Smoke, I felt like the peak of their content was Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. fight week. So a lot of their content, and this is what 3 years have passed. I still follow them. They have some awful takes, and and I get it. Everybody wants to be an influencer, and everybody knows that to grow on social media, you have to have outlandish takes, and So I'm just using All the Smoke as an example, and there's other ones on their Instagram platform that are making viral this moment of Roy Jones speaking to Kevin Newman in the corner, and I still think Kevin Newman lost that fight, but it was a close fight. Could have been a draw. 8-2 was atrocious. The judge who gave it 8-2 for Newman, we say this every goddamn week, atrocious. We thought this was going to happen going into the fight. All the boys who took Newman got him as a dog. Great call, good pick. I don't think he won. This is boxing. It's why I only put Elijah on one ticket because of this, but it's all good. The clip that's going viral, which is making Roy look like a legend, is not a good clip. It's Roy saying, "You're letting him bitch you. You're letting him." It's all emotional. Roy is doing what Teddy Atlas did for years, and this is a hot take. I'm just being real with you. Teddy Atlas was known for posturing when the cameras were on him, out of context, and I'll get to that in a second. So I have receipts, and I'm not just hating without evidence. I'm going to give you an exact example of a viral moment that didn't make sense. It was actually awful coaching. So with Teddy. So Roy Jones Jr. is telling him that. Newman didn't need to hear that. Newman needed to hear, hey, man, this dude is smothering his work. He's getting out on his front foot. Circle to your left, actually, and try to sidestep and counter him with the hook. Or lean in and slip his backhand and then counter him with your backhand. Throw your hook over his jab. Like, you didn't hear any of this. All that corner work with Roy was emotional of ego. It was all ego work. The worst advice I've heard in a corner in a really long time was after round 9, Roy Jones Jr. turns to Kevin Newman, a kid who's fighting the biggest fight of his life, who everything is on the line, should have been. I thought it was a fight he was down. And Roy goes, if you don't win, this is our last round together. This is our last round together. I'm thinking and I'm a coach. I'm thinking what are you talking about, dude? This guy is awful. Look, you have to, and stop getting emotional. Stop getting emotional. You guys need to learn to compartmentalize fighter from coach. Roy was one of my favorite fighters of all time. To this day, I say Roy is top 10 fighters of all time when Roy was at his best. Roy should have also retired probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years prior, but it's boxing. We get the itch. It's hard to walk away from. In Roy's prime, though, early mid-90s to 2003, 2004-ish, he had a 10-year run, best fighter on earth, 100%. He was able to get away with a lot of things that guys weren't able to get away with because he was so athletically gifted. His reaction time, his reflexes, that lead hook. But we know it's why we took Seb. When you get older, all of that shit leaves you. We saw it leave Seb. We saw it leave Keith against Brock Jarvis. If you really watch the Brock Jarvis fight closely, you'll see all of that stuff was gone. And so compartmentalizing Roy from fighter to coach, you have to. I don't think he's a good coach. If I was Kevin Newman, I would leave that camp. Coach-student relationship needs, especially in a fight, coach-fighter, needs to be 100% about the fighter. It should never be about the ego of the coach, especially when the lights are on. And let me finish this point with the Teddy Atlas thing I talked about. Everybody knows the fireman speech. The fireman speech. Tim Bradley versus Rios. That was one of the worst coaching moments I have seen. We are firemen. Bitch, Tim Bradley is up 8-0. Tim Bradley, who is known for being in wars, is up 8-0, beating the dog piss out of Rios, not losing a moment. You have a guy who's up 8-0. Why would you tell him to go into the fire? Bro, you're up 8-0. You're better than him everywhere. Don't get hit. You got 6 minutes, rinse and repeat. Let's go win, let's go keep winning world titles. And what goes viral, and this is how I know people really know anything about boxing, is they always talk about that moment. Dude, Teddy, what a great moment. And then Bradley went out there and stopped Rios. Bro, what are you talking about? He was dominant. Why would you want your fighter to go in more vulnerable positions to take more damage when he's winning every element of this fight? It's not like if Bradley was down on the cards, then that's a great moment. But he wasn't. And the viral moment doesn't tell you that. So people will just see that. And Teddy, we need to get you on the show, big dog. You also picked Teddy also picked Thurman to beat Fundora. But anyway, because I'm a coach, I get kind of heated about things. The last thing you want to do is put your fighter in a predicament that they're going to take more damage when they don't need to. Now, if Bradley was down on the cards and he just got dropped and Rios is winning and his belt's up, of course, then that speech makes sense. Let's go. Come on, box rec. And my evidence and my receipts. So don't let them do revisionist history and tell you something that's not true. Look at those scorecards. We're firemen. Man, shut your ass up. What you talking about? We're firemen. We just put belt to ass against this dude. We're gonna give him the only chance. So we're gonna give him the only chance he can to come back and steal a victory because we're firemen. That was one of Teddy's lowest points, in my opinion. But Teddy is known for posturing. He postures. I'm a fan of Teddy. Watch the shit Teddy talked on the Joe Rogan podcast about Mike Tyson if you want to know. Teddy said Mike Tyson's 0-5. That's all I'm saying. We're firemen. Oh, fuck, we been beating this dude's. If I was Tim, I would have been like, what are you talking about, dude? I got 6 minutes. This cat's crazy. Hooney losing to Woolley pissed me off. He was taking it. I know. I think he heard the fireman speech. I think Teddy was in Hooney's ear and he had watched the fireman speech. Ooh, we got Smith versus Morrell coming up. Brandon Smith, Mike Larry. Mike Larry, you put okay. I don't think you're. Are you in our group? You put Shaquille in a $6,000 parlay, bro. That's insane. Everything else is good. Yeah, we use them for like a quarter unit. Those UK cards, big dog. I like that Henny bottle though. Better be VSOP too. I think I told a Hennessy story on my channel before when I was hanging out with the TRG gang, my boy Kafaya in Long Beach. That's all they drank. They just drank Henny and did blow back in the day, early 2000s. Anyway, yeah, any long part like with any more than like 4 legs, I never go full unit. Brad, I know, motherfucker. They love Eddie. Like, subscribe if you give it. Hey, guys, we're floating between 70 and 90 on a Monday morning. Virtual hug. Appreciate the squad out here. Youngstown, Ohio in the house. City of Champions. Look, I know it's controversial. I had to get controversial. Give me the feedback. Roy's a legend. I get it. I understand it. Definitely agree that Roy should have given him technical advice. He also needed, yeah, he did because it was true. Newman was fighting soft. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't like the ultimatum he gave Kevin in round 9. It bothers me, man. You're out there on an island. You're out there on an island. You're gonna use that sort of motivation to make him feel alone. It was like bad parenting. You know what I mean? Like, it's our last round together. Okay, bitch. I've been with you 5 years. Why did it take me so long to get this? Like, I've been with you 5 years. This is my biggest opportunity. We're finally here. And now, if I don't win, you're going to leave me? Fuck you. What are you talking about, Roy? What? Dude, that was horrible. Terrible. I always thought Roy was never a great fighter unless he could coach a guy. You always thought Roy was never a great fighter. Never a great coach, I think. Oh, Malik had some. Look, coach, I don't want to shade. I'm not trying to do this to shade coaches because I'm a coach. It's a tough ask. It's a tough ask. Anybody who puts their time to coach another young person, it's a developmental role. That's why I'm being hard on Roy, because it's a developmental role. You're supposed to develop these young men. To hear him give him an ultimatum, I'm leaving you, like that, it kind of just resonated into my soul. Like, I kind of know what he was trying to say. He was using that as a form of motivation. But man, his choice of words in that moment, man, really stuck with me. Because this is what happens in boxing, guys. Do you remember the thing that went viral when Teo lost to Shakur? And there was just that moment Shakur went to see him in his locker room, and no one was with him. Boxing is a brutal freaking blood sport. It's a front runner sport, and when people lose, people leave you. And for this is our last camp together. Oh God, man, fuck off, dude. Fresh. All Newman had to do was put in a left hook behind the shoulder. Yeah. What do you think of Brian Mendoza and Tejas fight? Not gonna lie, close fight. Both dogs. I think Tejas won a lot of fans with his grit. I think Mendoza did what Mendoza always does: goes the distance, always in shape, dog, mean. I like Brian, man. I like both guys. I knew I liked Brian going into this fight. I picked Tejas to win, and guys, I picked Tejas to win, but I wasn't high on him. I didn't like how he fell apart against Abbas Barral. I didn't like how his cardio and conditioning fell apart against Barral. And then the get back fight against Castaneda really didn't tell me too much. But what this fight told me is that Tejas fixed his conditioning issues because Mendoza made him fix. Mendoza was going to ask those questions, and so I actually kind of the credibility I lost with Tejas as a potential world champion, I actually gained it back. And that shout out to Mendoza. Mendoza forced him to ask those questions. I wouldn't have been mad with a draw. My dad was pissed. And your dad's a coach too. Okay. GMS. What's up, GMS? Teddy thought he was Mickey in the Rocky movie. Thank you, guys. Real boxing fans know that shit was all Hollywood, man. We're firemen. Bitch, we are up every round. Who he talking to? Like, man, who's the fireman? Man, fuck up. This dude didn't even touch me. Newman is a good polite, respectful. That's what I hear. Teddy picked over 9.5, and Moses. Oh, Teddy's been getting cooked then. Thoughts on Hooney, Fraser Clark, Hooney? We'll go in more detail though. I'm not just gonna. It's not just. Give me. We're what, a week away? I know about the beef, Teddy. Now let's. Yeah, I know. I know the whole story, Ed. I know about his daughter. I know about the knife. I know about Teddy not. Very emotional, and he has a point every time that he framed it around 0-5 is a crazy stat. He said he disregarded every one of his wins and said that you can only judge Tyson on his losses because he was a front runner, he was a hammer. Every time Mike had to be the nail, he quit on his soul and he lost. Which the way he framed it, it's tough to argue that. I never Mike Tyson wasn't one of my favorites as a kid, but he was a legend. He's an icon in the game. Teddy didn't pick Thurman to beat. Oh, Teddy, he said a small value play. I mean, isn't that picking? Oh, so this is what we're getting away with now? Isn't that picking Thurman then, bro? What is this? That he didn't pick Thurman to beat Fundora. He said a small. Did he give you money to do it? So did he give everybody his money? Here, boys. I'm not picking. I'm not picking Keith to win. But here's $100. Take this $100 and do a small value play on Thurman by knockout. Is that what we're doing now? I meant, yeah, I got you. The yelling TKO, bro. That mate, Eddie. See, this is what I'm saying, man. We our picks weren't perfect this week, and what do? We like being perfect, but no one's perfect. But we haven't the JSB community. We've never. I don't think we've ever experienced like luck condensed in a weekend like this. Because I got to be honest. Usually the ball drops on our favor. Usually we get lucky. You know what I mean? We get decisions going our way. We get knockouts. Call it for what you will. Nobody knows exactly how these things are going to end up. But I can't remember a weekend in which, things that happen against us collectively. The Yanez fight, the cage grab with the Ignacio, which destroyed our long parlay, the Shaquille fight getting knocked out in the ninth. I still think, I'm sorry, call me salty. I think Elijah beat Kevin. I don't think Kevin's optics were there. I don't think his pressure was enough. I don't think he did enough substantial damage to beat Elijah. I thought Elijah won, and we usually get the Elijah close decision. That's what I was banking on. I've won the money on Elijah his whole career with these decisions. Like, all right, cool, we got it. I was like, we got another. When I heard 98-92, I was like, cool. That's what I'm. And then it went the other way. I'm like, oh shit, this ain't our day, boy. This is one of them days Mama told me about. Mama said there'll be days like this. There'll be days like this. My mama said. Do you think Tim will win next week? Well, they're already promoting Tim versus EJ, which is crazy work. They're already promoting Tim versus EJ, which is crazy work. I think Tejas, he was fighting a guy with a high output in Barao. He could still have that salmon issue if he fights a high. Good call, man. Very, very good point. Very good point. Certain fighters bring certain things out of you. Certain fighters ask certain questions out of you. Certain fighters require certain things out of you. This is what makes our sport so fucking dynamic, the best sport on earth. Sorry for swearing, Mom. She hates when I drop F-bombs. I'm passionate. I'm a passionate guy. But the understanding the dynamic of the sport is this comment, Eddie, and you're spot on. It's it looks like a simple comment, what Eddie just said here, but it's the philosophy of our sport in a nutshell. You can't just look at what a guy's record is. You can't just look at how he operates or how he wins fights. You have to look at the matchmaking, what each opponent is going to ask from the fighter, and can that fighter answer those questions? Why did the UK bring Franklin to fight Moses? We said it all week. You guys know this. The UK brought Franklin in to fight Moses because A, he was either going to give him rounds. B, which I think was the real case, which looks like Franklin had never been stopped. Franklin was a guy, not a big puncher, but not a lot of volume. You know what I'm saying? So you have a guy who's not a big puncher, not a lot of volume, who's seasoned, who's never been stopped. Now you got a guy that, we get to answer some of these questions about Moses. Can he take a veteran who's seasoned, who's never been stopped? Now we need to see Moses with a younger guy. Now I want to see him with a younger guy who's athletic, to answer some other questions. And this is why this is an important question by Eddie. Appreciate you, bro. What's up, Luis? I'm certain Teddy's getting paid to give him. I hope. Look, I'm not. This isn't a trash Teddy Atlas live stream. I'm a fan of Teddy. But guys, and Luis, I appreciate your comment. Appreciate you. Looks like you're a boxer. I see you on the chat all the time. If we live in a world to where we can't critique our teachers, if we can't critique our athletes, if we can't critique our politicians, if we can't critique our own, then we're living in an echo chamber. We need to be able to critique each other. You need to be able to take feedback. I need to be able to take feedback. This is an important element of growth. That being said, personal development. That being said, it's what I went. That's what I got my master's degree in, leadership and personal development. I tell you this. I used to teach this to corporates, financiers in Las Vegas. So that being said, I'm not a Teddy hater, but the coach in me, if I disagree with something, I'm going to bring it up. The athlete in me, if I disagree with something, I'm going to bring it up. Am I always right? No, no way. That's the beauty of life. We live and we learn. To say, I hope he's not getting paid to give bad advice. That would bum me out from an ethical stance. If you guys are new to my channel, the one thing you should take away from my channel is ethics. I talk about it all the time. I don't like, in our Discord, there's been guys who've been banned for like bullying, being racist, aggressive behavior about women. Like none of that flies around me. And this is how I live my life. Ethics are very important to who I am as a man. And so hopefully Teddy's not doing that, Louis. But maybe he's just on a bad run. Nobody gets 100% of the picks right. It was just hard because my Discord told me, I don't think you're in the Discord. My Discord told me last weekend that Teddy was picking Thurman. I'm like, what? I asked Paulie about it too. Paulie and I talk, and you saw Paulie on my show this weekend, and Tommy and I talk every day. I talk to Paulie a lot as well. We just couldn't see how somebody is well schooled as Teddy would pick Thurman. He didn't have a path to victory. Look, I'm not going to harp on it. Maybe he's just a hopeless romantic, hoping every now and then in boxing we get to see our favorite fighters turn back the clock. That's what I think happened. That's what I think what happened with Gary at 3D. That's what I think happened with Teddy. I think sometimes, and this is once again what makes our sport the best, we get romantic about these things. I think fortunate for me, I was never a Keith Thurman fan. I never thought Keith Thurman was the guy at 147. I never thought he wanted to fight Bud. I never thought he wanted to fight Errol. I didn't think he beat Danny Garcia. I thought the Sean Porter fight could have went either way. I feel his best fight was against Guerrero in 2015. So all that aside, like maybe the guys who pick Keith, they just love him for that. And sometimes that could misconstrue our logic when we're. But what do I always say? Bet with your wallet, never with your heart. You ever see the guy fighting Calvin Peters on the zoo card? I just looked at this, Kiza. Kiza, best combat sports athlete in the world? Chama. So I did ask, but Calvin Peters is a dog, by the way. Calvin Peters over 100 amateur fights, storied amateur, could punch, very shiny. When we're talking about a shiny new toy, he's one of these shiny new toys. He's fighting another guy, though, who is, 4-0? The odds are close. One of my clients is a Commonwealth boxer. He's an amateur in Australia. I'm his strength coach. I keep him anonymous because he's, in our group. And when these Aussie cards with these amateurs, because he sparred all these guys, I always turn to him and ask him. And I asked him about this. He really, really rates Calvin Peters. Perth. I think boxing has like myself wanted to see Thurman win, but knew deep down. See, Skeezy, and I can't get away with that. And I think this is the case. Coming from what I do, I can't get away with that. I'll tell you guys. You've heard me say this. I'll tell you guys straight up. I want this guy to win, but I think this guy's going to win. I said that against Errol versus Terrence. I said I'm cheering for Spence, but my money's on Bud. So. But I know what you're saying. But Teddy has a platform. People pay to get Teddy's picks, which is crazy. If that's the case, maybe I think he was probably seeing it from a nostalgia. But we get nostalgic, right? We love nostalgia out here. A lot of the ref and judges. Oh, Eddie, bro, it's my top of the mountain reffing. Well, it doesn't get to the UFC. Yeah, let's get we've been on for an hour. I'm going to stay on for a little longer. Guys, we're floating between 60 and 80 in this live stream. We're just heating up. These Monday morning lives, we always go a little long. And I've been doing over an hour to an hour and a half every live anyway. Dude, we're starting to cook. The next time you will see me on the screen, though, will be all the fights ahead of us. We have fights in 4 days. So let's bring that up real quick. The JSB insiders will know this next name. We won money on his last 2 fights. Rene Santiago. This is a world title fight going down in Japan. This is one of those Friday night in Australia cards. I might have a cocktail during this card. I've been craving. I might get some sipping tequila. I don't really drink a lot. See, at this stage of the game, when I drink, it's like a thought and it's a plan, and it's usually like not socially. I might get one of my favorite tequilas. It's called Corzo, Corzo. It's in a long, thin, rectangular bottle, and I like the Reposado. Just neat. Watching some Japan boxing world titles on a Friday night, dude. That sounds dope to me, boy. Luis Trigiano. Rate the pick, Johnny, this week. Rate this pick. Nice choice in vehicles, brother. Wilder, Chisora, no distance. Riley, money line. Luis, come back on Wednesday for me. Ask me this on Wednesday because Wilder, Chisora, no distance on paper sounds like the sexy pick. We always must consider the chances of a jab and grab festival. Deontay Wilder might have lower output. He probably does have lower output than Jermaine Franklin. And Chisora is going to throw one punch and lean in, and they're going to be on the ropes, and they're going to be. This could be a really, really boring fight. So just give me till Wednesday. You know, I lean on my international boxing community. I lean on a lot of, guys I know from, my time documenting the sport over the last 15 years who live in the UK, live in America. I've sent messages out. I'll let you know. And then the Riley money line, Vidal Riley. It's a step up for him too, man. Vidal Riley is the guy, with the social media profile. He's coming off the Chef Clark victory. A lot of hype around him. But I think this fight might be closer than people think. I'm not saying Vidal is going to lose. Just give me. I don't like. You're putting a whip on this. You're trying to get that. Trying to get that head turner whip. We need to get these. We need to get these picks on lock. So give me some time. Ask me on Wednesday. I'll let you know, big dog. You seen the light with weak body, Keith. It's time for you to see the light with Elijah. I know. I see the light. I see the light. I know. Poor Elijah. I think Richard Torres and Moses will soon be like, yes, me too. I rate both guys. Moses, I think that if Top Rank was smart, Top Rank would look to matchmake Kiki similar to how Ituan was being matchmade. Because you could build, they're trying to build a star with Kiki. I think they have something with him. The Guido Vianetta win is a good win. He won on points. And I took Kiki to stop him, but he didn't. I lost that bet. But I rate Kiki. I like the energy. I like the athleticism. He's going to be smaller. He's a smaller heavyweight. But, mate, he could do things. The thing about these sort of guys, this modern heavyweight, these non-sort of behemoth heavyweights who rely a lot on just power, is that unless you see them live, unless you're ringside even, it's really hard to appreciate what they're doing with their athleticism and speed and reflexes. The reflexes Moses has on him, mate, I don't know, dude. He is. I'm not a Glazer. I'm not ordaining him as the next. I'm excited to see how they move him. I would love to see him and Kiki fight one day. Teddy saw he was like 23 there. I hit my first 64 picks. All my receipts up. My record is 64 in a row. I hit 60. This is how Muscles reached out to me. Shout out to Muscles. You guys think me and Muscles are beefing. Me and Muscles are not beefing. He's just, doing his thing. I think he won 15 grand this month. Muscles saw that I hit 64 in a row. I think it was last April. He reached out to me. And this is before I was live streaming. I wasn't giving away my picks. I would just do my Stats Don't Lie videos, that I still do, my edited videos. And then in the YouTube post section, I would show my winnings after. And so that then Muscles is a big reason why I started live streaming. Muscles is a big reason why I started my Discord. So, I don't hold grudges with anybody. You guys should know that about me. There was controversy early days. We've moved on. I would have, dude. Anyway, 23-2 stuff, but what have you done for me lately? This sport is tough. Doing what me and Teddy does, doing what 3D does, doing what Breaking Bad does. This shit is hard. There isn't many people. There aren't many. Are there? Are there many guys who are doing daily live streams just about boxing, analyzing the fights, breaking down the odds, showing you the tickets, and then riding and dying with you? I don't know if there's many of us, so we can't be hating on anybody. I look at all of us as a community. And I look at all of us. I look at 3D's community. I look at my community. I look at the community Breaking Bad is growing. I don't know anybody else, though. I don't really watch Tommy and Paulie, their community. So I don't know many. And I don't watch a lot of, maybe there's thousands of us. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I don't watch. Those are the people. Joe Stunner Boxing. Joe doesn't really, I've had Joe on my channel before. Joe doesn't really bring up the odds. He doesn't really try to get too gambly about it. But yeah, the minute you start bringing the odds up and giving it changes things. You know what I mean? We open ourselves up for a lot of criticism. So this is why it's stressful. I'm never confident in any of my picks. I think the minute I would say I was confident in a pick is the minute I'd start consistently losing. I think that works for my personality type. I'm always hesitant. I'm like, do this if you want to do this. like, bet at your own risk, motherfucker. Like the safest bet is the one we don't make. That's why I say that. This is tough what we do, man. But I love it. I fucking love it. Yeah, Teddy, dude, his takes are crazy. There's a few boys in my Discord that were shouting out for me to raise my prices because of Teddy's prices. But I'm telling you guys right now, the JSB insiders here, I will never raise my rates. I stand by that. It's not about the minute I make it about the price upon entry is the minute I stop loving what I do. I'm here for the community. I'm doing this to grow a community. And week in and week out, if you want to, month in and month out, if you want to stay around, stay around. If you are still here from day one, that's why we got love for each other, dude. And it's more about the community for me than the price of entry. I never made this about price. But yeah, Adamas. Oh, what are we? Are we watching the same film study? Because it's not like we're being blown away, guys. It's not like Art Squad when we saw Adamas beat Ammo on points plus 275, baby. Prop of the week. It's not like we're shocked. Why? Because everyone here does tape. If I'm getting a bad read, Eddie will let me know. Kiza will let me know. Rob will let me know. We have like 5 kings. The king, I call you boys the kings. We have a group of kings. It's hard to keep everybody. The group of kings will let me know if I have a. Julius will let me know. We have a lot of sharps. Chilltown will let me know if I have a bad read. TJ will message me. And so, there's just certain ammo to beat Adamas, bro, man. From a boxing perspective, dude. I don't know, man. What do I think about Lauren Price this weekend? Give me some time. I'm like, my mind is like 99% on this live stream, just right now, talking about what we just saw, and 1% on next week. Did you see the Kevin Davis homecoming Norfolk fight? No, damn, it bums me out. What? I'll look into it. I didn't see that. Callum Peter, my favorite prospect. Dude, he's gonna be a bit of Matthias stuff. Yeah, he could punch. He can punch. He's smart. Like he's marketable. Ticks all the boxes. Always in shape. Has a good personality. He's kind of a character. He ticks all the boxes. I think this is the reason why the odds are close. Stylistically, this is a step up fight. But his opponent only has 4. His opponent only has 4 fights too. Let's check it out. I am confident in these Aussie picks, though, boys. I just so you know, when you see my Aussie parlay, I'm confident. We're gonna win. We're gonna win a lot of money this weekend. Okay, here. So people are like, why are these odds so close? Delio and Zeki Mouzinho. They are, I mean, plus 350 isn't that crazy, right? Guys, we're over an hour. Could you like this video? 70, it goes from 70 to 90. Just like the video. At the end, there better be 50 JSP insiders liking this. That's all I'm saying. You guys always show me love. The likes last week on the lives were insane. It was the best week I've ever done. So thank you. Hopefully we get to the day where I don't have to say, I don't like saying these things. I don't like having to talk about this sort of stuff, just so you know. I just like talking about boxing. So Calvin Peters, Delio and Zeki. Yeah, he's only this is interesting. Crazy amateur record 114 and 15. Not that crazy. He's 5-0 with 5 knockouts. He's a 6 foot tall, 23-year-old, nicknamed 50 cal middleweight. He's fighting a guy who is 4-0. And BoxRec says, you better sign in, biatch. Okay, so Delio and Zeki Mouzinho is 4-0. He's 26 years old. Not much about him. He last fought in June. I don't know. Maybe it's one of these things that the algorithm or the odds. Callum's 5-0 with 5 knockouts. His opponent's 4-0 with 4 knockouts. I'll ask some questions. I already reached out to my boy who's a boxer. He says Peters by annihilation. Renee Sanchez Japan reminds me of Mauricio Lara and Fernando Lopez. Yes, this is a good call, man. When I don't think anybody Bronco Lara was not on my radar until he started beating up the Brits. And he's still people. I remember I checked the box rec 2 weeks ago. I thought Bronco was in his late 30s. Bronco's only like 32. And Fernando Lopez, man, if he never got injured, dude, what a fun fighter he was. He had a brain bleed. It's a good comparison. Renee, man, we caught him as a dog a couple times. Now the bookie's caught up to us. Now he's a favorite. Now we got to get sexy to see if we get method of victories. This is how the onion peels, boys. We find that you guys know this. If you're new to betting, here's the onion. Money line, value, and then if it's not value, we have to open the onion up, and then we have to start looking at method of victory, stoppage, points, over and unders. So we used to be able to get Renee Santiago, boom, money line. Now you got to get a little bit more sexy. Calvin Peters is indigenous. He has that slick movement. His DNA level the same. And he could crack, dude. And he could punch. Chisalo out is going to be either really fun or really boring. I know. I'm kind of hesitant on this fight, jumping the gun on what I like yet. No. I think Wilder. What? I do not want to see them old heads against the Tama. I don't think so. I think they retire. I think Wilder definitely retires. I think win or lose, Wilder retires. Win or lose, Chisora retires. There were a lot of knockouts this weekend. Holmes, I won on the money line, but lost in a knockout. Shaquille, I lost in a knockout. Everything else I won good on except Nathan Healy. Oh, God. I'm sorry, boys. I'm sorry. See, the downside the downside of what I do, here's the downside, is that when I'm all in on a bet, there's a reason. And we know nobody wins 100% of the time. One of my skills is debating outside of doing this, like pre-law, moot court. If I believe in something, I could argue a narrative. I could sell you. I'm a good salesman. So that's why ethics are really important to me, because I've been around men the last 2 decades in other areas who use these skills nefariously. They lie to people. They con people. I got conned out of $40,000 in 2021 during the pandemic. It's a whole different story, by a really crafty salesman. You know what I'm saying? Ethically, I don't do that. The Nathan Healy, I picked him to win, so I had to tell you why. I can be very convincing. I don't do that intentionally. It's kind of a double-edged sword. If I'm ever betting a dime on anybody, I'm going to have a reason why. The longer you are with me and you're on my channel, I want everybody here to develop their own strategy. My goal for the whole community is to develop a knowledge about the game to where you feel comfortable with going against me. You don't have to agree with me, especially in these club level fight. Like that's a club level, C level fight. You didn't have, I put money on it. I didn't put a lot of money on it. I feel bad we didn't hit because, I only had them on one ticket though. Also, guys, if you're a part of our community, when you look at my tickets, learn to understand the strategy of how I gamble. Nathan Healy appeared on one ticket. Elijah Garcia appeared on one ticket. I do this intentionally because I've been burned in the past with putting fighters on multiple tickets and having multiple tickets dusted because one fighter loses. Over time, look at all my receipts. You'll see that's when I do really well. That's why we always win. We went 2 for 6 this weekend, and we feel like we were at a funeral. You know what I mean? Because we usually go 5 for 7. We went 7 for 7 a couple weeks ago. 6 for 8. So 2 for 6 is a bad weekend for us. It's a terrible weekend for us. But I want everybody here to understand and over time develop your own strategy. Instinct, having sort of an intuitiveness about it is part of the game. Understanding the fighters are a part of the game. If I'm picking a guy like Nathan Heaney, I'm going to give you reasons why. The crowd, the resume, the anti-tape I watched on Warburton, all that stuff. So for what it is, you're at least going to have a selling point. Is it always right? No. That's why it's stressful to do what I do. I don't have gray hair yet, but the gray hair is coming. Because I expect everybody to sing happy birthday to me. My 44th birthday is in 3 weeks. I want a happy birthday song. But this shit is stressful. Not big. Winter's here, by the way. That's why I got my winter hat on. It's cold as hell. Yeah. Shout out to Muscles. Richard is very based me. I don't see a world champion. I see a contender. I mean, you and I like Josh. I like Josh Edwards. Cola Antonio kind of asked some questions with Edwards. We have some options, I guess. King Louis, we got the Kings in the house. Water versus Chisora both faded. Thinking of taking Wilder for the upset. Dude lost to Jane Parker, who were pretty close to the top. Chisora looking slow as cold syrup. Yeah, it's a weird one to bet on. I'm definitely not going full unit on this fight. I could see it being very boring. Is Rene Santiago the guy who beat Nonito? I'll show you Renee's last few wins. Everyone's been. Nonito needs to retire, man. Come on, big dog. No. Santiago's coming off that win against Takami, Iwata, and the Iwata and Takami victories in 2025. He went in his dog. He became a world champion. Nobody expected him to. Iwata and Takami coming off that Takami victory. Mr. Reed, you're doing a great job. Appreciate you, man. Cody says, I was number one on Teptology for. Is he? Yeah, I picked Piper by knockout. Aronson Garcia. I got to look into it. I like it. Producer, we've been winning a lot of money on the Zuffa cards. Don't let the mainstream media fool you guys regarding matchmaking and regarding the betting odds. There's a lot of money that we're making on Zuffa. So yeah, you know, people are going to tell you anti Dana White. Look, we don't care about the politics here. They have nothing to do with us. We care about winning bets, and we've been winning a lot on Zuffa. So we got a lot to talk about with the Zuffa card, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate the JSB insiders. I appreciate everybody here. We're almost 90 minutes in. There's still between 60 and 80 here. If you're new here, we do live streams every single day. Bet on boxing live streams. Check out our receipts. We still up and we still good.